Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into our webinar on health protocol solutions. We're excited to share the insight on many of our new self-service touchless kiosks that we've come to market with for public and private use. From thermal sensor kiosks to mass detection kiosks to traffic flow kiosks at entrances. So today's agenda, we'll be discussing everything you need to know about health protocol solutions and the benefits these solutions bring to businesses. We're going to be joined by some of our internal employees, as well as some of our external partners that offer software to do these detections. So my name is Brian McClymans. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Peerless-AV. And joining me today will be Rob Miner, our Technical Sales Engineer. Rob, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Rob, when we were looking at developing these solutions, what really came to mind as far as what you were looking to solve?
We saw that the rise in COVID-19 cases and the probability of an extended duration of the virus, we recognized businesses small and large would be looking to enact strategies to allow their employees and guests to feel safe and comfortable in their establishments. So based on a lot of firsthand and secondhand research, we wanted to offer a contactless, freestanding, and portable solution that would not only just read the temperatures, but provide output reports, alert HR staff, and much more. But in all this research, I uncovered that an elevated body temperature is not a definitive indicator of illness. And a person may be contagious even without a fever. In addition, temperature readers can sometimes provide inaccurate results due to sweating, stress, internal ambient temperature, and maybe in the lack of regular calibration. For that reason, we looked at other screening mechanisms in addition to temperature screening. So we developed a lot of solutions that are either contactless, thermal detection like you mentioned, or traffic control mechanisms. So we wanted to bring solutions to the customers that can be useful to them after COVID-19. So we sought out, like you mentioned, our digital signage software and hardware partners to bring to market affordable, fashionable, standard and customizable solutions that can fit virtually any vertical market like corporates, stadiums, retails, education, and much more.
So you bring up some really good points. I know when we first looked at these, we saw a lot of the devices that were just purely a thermal scanning device that kind of takes place of having a employee at a business scan the employees coming in or the workers coming into that. So can you dive into just exactly what some of our offerings do that make them more than just a thermal scanning kiosk, that offer a better benefit to the customers in the long term?
What I see is there's many different points to that. The first one is it identifies those with an elevated temperature before they even enter your business. So you're detecting the threat before it even enters the doors. Secondly, it's great PR, not only from the guests, but also for the employees, as they see the business employer are working to protect everyone that's coming into the business. The other part would be convenience. Individuals can be in a central location, can view the results and flag those with elevated temperatures by even pushing emails or making a telephone call. And it also helps with privacy. There's going to be a lot of issues, I think, in the near future about that privacy. And there's many different ways to protect an individual's privacy, as I, for one, don't want everyone to know what my temperature is when I walk up to a kiosk like the one behind me. So in lieu of a coworker taking my temperature, my privacy can still be upheld with a self-service kiosk temperature reader. Now, the size of the display can be small, anywhere from a 22-inch to maybe a 32-inch. And software controls allow for additional security measures, whether it's adding a red and green icon on the display, letting the person know that I can proceed or not, or even having no indicators, but an offsite person in that centralized location, reviewing the data and sending notifications to an HR or safety coordinator alerting of a possible infection. They can also eliminate the interaction between the person. We're so big on social distancing, when someone has to come up to me and then use a thermal temperature to test me, we're putting each other at risk. Using that self-service kiosk eliminates the interaction between the two people. And lastly, it can be very inexpensive employing a self-service solution because it eliminates the need for a dedicated staff person, hiring additional staff, and then also providing the additional training necessary to do the temperature sensing or the additional counting allowing the people in and out of a place of business.
I think you kind of hit a very important topic and one that I wanted to dive into a little bit more. Just the uncomfortableness of people having to interact with each other. We tell everybody that they need to be socially distant from each other, but in many cases, companies are employing people to stand right in front of either their guests or their own employees and get very close to them at the time where people are somewhat uncomfortable. I think the benefit of the self-service kiosk makes it a non-personal connection, but at least one that makes people, as they're entering and leaving buildings, feel at least somewhat secure that the company is at least tracking or monitoring it the best they can. Because as you had described, not everybody shows a temperature to indicate that they have a virus, but at least it's a little bit extra benefit to the person entering that business, that they know that that company is looking out for their best interests.
Agreed. A self-service kiosk can be used to perform some of the same functions of an employee standing in that vestibule. Now, instead of scanning guest temperatures, alerting to potential threats, and providing promotions targeted to me as I walk in, a kiosk can do the same thing. For example, on Sunday, my wife and I went shopping to a few big box retailers. Each retailer's entrance area was staffed by an employee who was either taking temperatures of guests entering, or they were counting the number of guests who were coming and going, all to ensure that the store met the occupancy guidelines set forth by the local government for social distancing. Now, instead of having an employee stand there for 8 hours at their hourly wage, a self-service kiosk can be repurposed, and that employee can now work additional register or help other guests within the store answering questions or finding products. Something to think about that Brian and I were talking about the other day is if an employee mans the door of a retailer for 8 hours at $15 per hour, that's $120 per day or $600 per week. A kiosk could possibly do that same work of temperature sensing, counting, providing promotional messages targeted based on gender and age, and the kiosk could pay for itself within 2 to 3 months. It's something to really think about.
That's a great point, Rob, and one that I'm sure everybody listening today is pondering in their minds. So, Rob, what is it that makes our solutions so much different than what everybody else has seen or heard about or read about?
What I like most is what we're able to accomplish is our partnerships with our software and hardware suppliers. We've come up with a kiosk solution that can be used past the COVID-19 pandemic and be reutilized for dynamic digital signage or even wayfinding. For example, our THR 300 model, in partnership with 22Miles, it's a floor standing kiosk that's integrated with an all-in-one multi-touch display that can be in either landscape or portrait orientation and loaded with 22Miles' basic temp defense software for touchless temperature scanning of the face. It comes with a FLIR Pure Thermal 2 sensor with an accuracy rating of plus or minus 0.5 to 0.9 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 4 feet or 1.2 meters. But what's really neat is it's a stylish UL tip-tested kiosk design with leveling feet that can be customized with audio, colors, graphics, and more. And then we have the THR 400. In a partnership with Mimo monitors and Revel Digital software, it's another floor standing kiosk that's been integrated with a 21.5-inch all-in-one multi-touch display that can also be in portrait or landscape orientation. And the Revel Digital software provides that touchless temperature scanning of the face. It has a Molexa sensor with an accuracy rating of plus or minus 0.55 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 2 feet away, or even up to 1 meter. And just like the 300 model, it's a stylish UL tip-tested kiosk design with leveling feet that can be customized with audio, colors, graphics, and more. And then for those that want a truly customizable solution, we have a THR 500. A totally custom solution with either the 22Miles or Revel Digital software, and comes with a multi-touch display and portrait orientation. The kiosk solution is best used for multi-sensing applications where an employee is monitoring scans remotely in real time. The kiosk is fully customizable with various healthcare components like mask and glove dispensers, and auto-dispensing hand sanitizer, and possibly even tissues. And with each of these solutions, even though we're doing touchless temperature scanning, it can also run multi-dynamic digital signage, or even wayfinding. So when the pandemic is ending and the touchless sensing is no longer needed, we can use it, reutilize or repurpose the kiosk for digital signage. And lastly, the THR 600, in partnership with Navori Labs, we have a floor standing kiosk to help control the flow of traffic in public areas. Now, working with existing cameras or via a secondary device, the software can measure and control the occupancy levels and wait times by monitoring multiple entry and exit points simultaneously. It can display the current occupancy, provide clear instructions like, hey, wear a mask, or don't enter yet, we're at full capacity, and then give me the perceived wait times to guests. But best of all, it provides targeted dynamic digital signage to waiting guests or even upcoming guests in the form of videos, promotions, social media feeds, and much more to give it a very dynamic digital signage experience.
Great points, Rob. And it really does show to everybody that Peerless-AV has done our research, and we've really brought to market the best solutions for you, not only for right now, or for the future as well. So thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.
All right, and our next guest to speak to us today from 22 Miles is Tomer Mann, Vice President of Global Sales for 22 Miles.
Hey, Brian. Great seeing you again in this Zoom world.
Yeah, in this Zoom world, it's too bad that we don't see each other face to face, but soon enough, we'll be back to working together face to face.
Exactly.
So why don't you tell me a little bit more and tell our guests a little bit more about 22 Miles and what do you offer and where are you sold throughout the world?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. 22 Miles, we were founded in 2007 by our kind of the head engineer. So we're very much an R&D company as a full suite of digital signage solutions. We're sometimes typecast for our 3D wayfinding, but obviously where people have been working from home and people are trying to reopen and look for safety measures, we've kind of pivoted over the last 3 months now into more of COVID-related offerings, and that's kind of where we've teamed up. But basically the reasoning we were able to pivot so quickly is because of our very much Silicon Valley-based mentality that started from our head engineer. So 22 Miles as a whole is very much forward-thinking, innovating content management solution.
It's great to hear. And I'm sure a lot of our customers and prospective customers listening today are looking for a quick and nimble software provider to help solve some business solutions that they have currently. So what features does 22 Miles offer in the temperature sensing solutions that make you different than the other solutions that are out there?
I think as I referenced, the fact that we started with a content management software is a nice differentiation in general because you're able to customize the application. You're able to add additional, let's call it infotainment or maybe CDC information or other kind of content that's relevant through the experience. So customization is first. The fact that we can incorporate voice commands. So now you've got a touchless touch experience or a contactless experience. So you can, again, from a safety and hygiene perspective, interact, especially if you have an elevated temperature. So it's not just giving you your facial view or your thermal view and then a pass fail. It allows you to have some follow-up that again keeps you safe, but gets you to the next level of what HR or the admins or end users or the organization need from you. As well, virtual receptionists or video call capabilities for a delivery truck driver, or again, someone that's elevated, where again, instead of saying just leave the building, go home, or go talk to someone face to face, now you can interact from a virtual experience and again, keep that social distancing in place, but provide additional kind of interaction that allows the delivery truck driver or the employee or the customer to understand what their options are. So we've added some extra, I guess, AIoT applications above just the thermal sensor with the pass to fail. We also allows for questionnaire where you can use the voice command, or you can use our HTML mobile app capabilities with the questionnaire, and you can scan a QR code. We have full data analytics built on this solution for logging. With the facial recognition, which obviously from a privacy perspective, you can accept or not. We can also incorporate screen capture. So if someone has an elevated temperature, that individual's face can then be sent to HR, or can also be brought into like a data log that's internally kept within the organization. And now you can create this facial recognition experience if you don't have up-to-date high-resolution photos. So there's a lot more enhancements that we keep adding in around these extra differentiators. And the nice piece of all of this is also we keep doing machine learning to create better accuracies. So we're not just repackaging something that, well, others are doing from a foreign body, let's just say. We've done this all in the US. We've done this all with the focus of enhancing the product and not just keeping something stagnant that someone might just put in a closet in 6 months or a year from now because they don't think they need the temperature sensors anymore.
You've covered a lot of interesting things, and I wanted to dive into a few of them now. So you had mentioned multiple different locations that these products might go to. So you're saying that this is beyond just a single entry point solution. So I think you've mentioned that, you know, the back of the house, the delivery point is another point that you should have these, as well as the entrance level. Do you also recommend having these throughout the buildings? Because you had mentioned this is actually a virtual communicator as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I think any entranceway, any traffic flow location definitely would benefit from a solution like this. Obviously, there's different sizes to consider from a spatial perspective, but we kind of fit the mold to provide these different feature sets for what the interaction, that kind of human interaction would be, whether it's at a receivables or in a production or warehouse location, whether it's at the front of the retail or in the back door for the employees. Maybe it's at different floors of a large building that maybe has different tenants from a commercial space. So there's, or at a parking garage even for that matter, if you have the all weather display. So yeah, I think that if you're focusing on the temperature sensors, almost anywhere that there is traffic flow, I think you can easily fit one of these solutions and then add or customize the experience based on that location.
You call this temp to fend, correct? But it also comes with a digital signage component. So what we're showing here is one possible application that could be used in landscape, highlighting the temperature scanning as well as a little digital signage component to it as well. But I liked what you had mentioned before, that this is more than just the temperature scanner devices that we've seen out there from other products like we have up on the left here that just do temperatures. Your product is more future-proof in the sense that it can actually go beyond and you can adapt that with your customers. So can you speak to how that would be done? So if somebody used to deploy this for the need currently, which is to do temperature scanning and information sharing of the current COVID standards, how would they go about changing that software to meet their needs as they go after there's a vaccine for COVID?
First, I have to mention that you're very good at Vanna White action. So you really perfected really well. The Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune would benefit from you. Or Price is Right. I think a couple of the other features that you can take us to the next level is access controls and check-in and badge integration solutions and printing or wristband capabilities. All of those extras, we can obviously add those, or API integrations, meaning third-party software components we can add into the experience. So yes, it's completely way over the line of just a basic facial view, a thermal view with a degree. This takes it to the next level where you again can have a whole customized template with those added features and those back of the house components to really make it a valuable application that is going to be needed on a day-to-day basis. And if someone, again, doesn't feel that they don't need to do temperature sensing in the future, they do have the capabilities to continue growing the product and growing the display or the user experience coming out of the display.
And I'm sure that as our listeners are kind of come up with their own questions, they're going to want to learn more about 22 Miles. So where would listeners go to learn more? Obviously, they can get in touch with their Peerless-AV salesperson. We can get on a webinar and go through their specific needs, as we've done in many cases already. But where should customers go to learn more about 22 Miles?
Absolutely. They can definitely reach Peerless-AV reps, but they can also reach our website at 22miles.com. They'll be able to find a lot of information around the Temp Defender under the Solutions section, but it's also part of our Protection as a Service suite. So even on the homepage, they'll see a banner that kind of references some other features that we are bringing into the table as a kind of a COVID-proof experience. One of them, obviously, the voice control can also be a standalone. So any Peerless kiosks, any interactive screen, we can add this voice command, voice activation solution. So again, if you want to still interact with a display, again, you can now operate through voice. Another option is our secure mobile control. So that's another page you guys can look at, 22miles.com, that references more about how you can take over a screen from almost a remote control. So we've created this HTML app. You scan a QR code that's built into the display, and the end user now has access to interact with the screen, again, without having to touch it, but you still have a full interactive experience just from like a touchpad and an on-screen keyboard. So there's videos on each one of these applications. And so it's kind of a nice overall resource for anyone to understand more about the features we're offering and the applications that will benefit through this pandemic and post-COVID experience.
All right, really appreciate it. Thanks again, Tomer.
Thank you.
Here with me now is our guest, Jeff Weitzman, Managing Director of North America for Navori Labs. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
All right. So today, I just want to know a little bit more. I want to share with our guests that are listening today a little bit more about what Navori Labs is and what you offer.
Absolutely. So quick kind of high-level overview. Navori Labs is a digital signage software company. We've been doing this since 1997, so about 23 years we've been in the business. Throughout that, we've learned quite a bit and gained quite a bit of presence. We're a Swiss company, but we do have projects in over 115 different countries, well over 1 million endpoints deployed globally. So we're very strong when it comes to innovation and evolving our products. We're constantly studying what are the trends that are happening in the marketplace, what are the technologies that are new and exciting, and using that information to really make sure that we're on the cutting edge of things and relevant to our customers, and always offering something that can meet or hopefully exceed expectations. My role is really on managing and developing the business on the North American side. So our HQ for North America is out of Montreal, and our team works out of that office.
Great. So it is a really important factor for people listening today. If they've got a global business, that they need to look for a global solutions provider such as Navori Labs to be able to support them with different information and content globally. So what features should businesses look for when selecting software to be integrated into solutions like we're talking about today?
Right. So one of the things for scalability is important. Scalability, support, and simplicity of managing that. So you want to make sure that you're selecting a technology, that's proven, something that's been deployed before, and that is coming from a company that's healthy and going to be able to support it. You also want to look at the DNA of the company. Like if you're buying software through a hardware company, or if you're buying, you want to make sure the person who's building what you're buying is able to support and fix it down the line. You want to look at your internal organization. You want to determine what languages do I need? Especially if it's a global or international rollout. Our solution has 44 different languages available for its users. You want to consider flexibility and ease of use, user management types of tools, roles and permissions, approval processes. So you really want to consider and contextualize your entire situation and rollout plan and make sure you're choosing a technology that's going to be able to be flexible enough to adapt to it. So when we talk about, entering with this, with COVID-19, we know that we need a solution where information can get out quickly, information that's displayed is in real time and is accurate, something that is relevant in the right now, and can provide content that evokes an action or a reaction that's instant. So we'll talk more about that shortly, but I think those are some of the important considerations.
Thank you very much. Those are really intriguing. So obviously we're talking about a access control solution here today. So what differentiates the QL access control from your competitors, as well as what should businesses want in an occupancy control solution?
So what's really great about our access control offering is there isn't a lot of competition in that particular space. So there are some counting solutions that have the technology built into the camera that can either through sensor or through basic silhouette detection determine entries and exits. But what happens there is there's no connection to any real type of CMS. So you lose everything else that comes with using a digital signage solution, which is the scalability, which is the support, which is the flexibility, the ease of use, the management and personalizing of the content and the messaging. And we also add a feature for mass detection. So it's really taking the computer vision part of what occupancy control requires and building that into something simple, deployable via a true enterprise level CMS. And I think that's some of the main differentiators of our access control solution versus what else you'll find on the market. It would be very few far between to find a solution that has both the enterprise level CMS plus the accuracy of the counting and mass detection all in one.
Excellent. And I can assure you that over the weekend, I really could have used your device at a local grocery store, because for whatever reason, the store has stopped counting the people that go into it, and they've opened up a second doorway to the entrance of their business. And it was extremely crowded. We had to wait over 30 minutes just to check out, and every register was 10 people deep. So it really provided us a very uncomfortable situation. And I honestly don't want to go back to that store until they implement something like this, because it just gave me an uncomfortable feeling that they were overloading it. Plus, they were beyond the current state that we live in, their number of people they need to be in there. So it just seemed to me that it was not a good offering that they were providing to their guests as they came into their place of business.
Certainly, that's a great point, Brian, so thank you. But certainly customer experience is an important consideration. So really there's two ways of looking at it. There's regulatory issues, so there are different laws. I know where I am in Montreal, or in Toronto, which is not far from us, they just passed a law yesterday making masks mandatory all across Toronto. We saw a bylaw this morning for certain municipalities requiring all citizens to wear masks when they're in a public space. So there are regulatory concerns, but there's also, as you mentioned, just simple consumer confidence. Consumers will want to shop and spend time and therefore spend money in stores that make them feel safe, where they feel that the owners and operators of those locations have considered the risks that are involved in going out in today's environment, and is taking the right protocols. And this access control solution, number one, ensures density, it ensures social distancing, it ensures masks if that's part of the rules and regulations for that establishment. But it also gives the opportunity to personalize and treat it as a regular digital signage product. So, not taking away from the reasons any environment would deploy digital signage today pre-COVID. So you still have the ability to put your promotional material, your information, and ensure that customers know what they want to look for, and they can get the right information, but at the same time feel safe and confident within your space.
I think that's an excellent point. This is future-proof. So yes, it solves a current need for density control, but it also offers a component that many other solutions do not offer, which is the digital signage component, which offers the ability to inform guests, employees, and customers with the latest information that the business wants to share. And, as we were just speaking, you're in Montreal, I'm in Chicago. Some of our customers listening may be all over throughout the world.
Yeah.
How easy is it to adapt and change each specific location? Is that something that the customers can do relatively easily?
It's actually designed, and that's one of the things where Navori has been very successful from the digital signage front, is the simplicity and the deployability, and that kind of rolls right into scalability. So you need something that is essentially plug and play. Everything's built into the software. It's going to be very easy to deploy multiple locations. In fact, and maybe I could have mentioned this earlier, but the system automatically handles multiple entries and exit. In your example, Brian, you mentioned that the store opened up a second entrance. Our system will automatically tabulate the ins and outs of individuals, even if there's multiple entries and exits to the building. They just need to make sure that they have a camera that can see each entry and exit. Therefore, the count can be accurate. And of course, same thing for the mask. You need to have visibility of the face.
So you could have made a point there I want to make sure everybody heard is you can actually integrate additional cameras into your software beyond the camera that is located into the kiosk itself.
Absolutely. And in fact, if there's multiple entries and exits, you're going to want to, because you want to know what is the total occupancy of that location, and you can only count what you see.
Excellent point. So with that, I want to thank you, Jeff, for joining us today and spelling out the differences and the advantages of the solution that you're offering. So where would listeners go to find out more information about the Navori Labs offering?
So you could visit our website, navori.com. There's lots of good information. There's a whole section on access control and solutions for, to make sure that we're following the right health protocols in today's new environment, or I should say new normal. You can call us, and definitely it's going to be very easy, and information is readily available for those that are interested.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thanks, Brian.
Our next guest today is David Anderson, CEO and President of Mimo Monitors. David is here to talk to us about Rebel Digital Software. Welcome, David.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So David, can you tell me a little bit more about Mimo Monitors and the Rebel Digital Software that you're providing us for the specific application that we're showing here in this image?
So Mimo Monitors, just a quick thing about us. We focus on a niche in the display business, so we focus on small. Everything we make is 32 inches and smaller, made in various different formats. And the temperature kiosk solution that you're talking about here is what we decided to do was partner with a company called Rebel Digital. Rebel makes a digital signage software. And so it works very well with our hardware and some additional sensors that we've created, so that there's a complete solution for temperature taking.
Great. So beyond just the temperature taking, obviously the market is flooded with temperature scanners and what people are doing to kind of, the new abnormal, as I call it, because there's really nothing normal about this. What makes your solution different, and what are customers most excited to learn about with the offering that you guys have?
Well, the biggest thing is we wanted to be able to offer a solution that was scalable to anything that people would need. So our solution comes in a very simple go, no go, red, green version, all the way up to a full CMS, content management system. So the advantage there is that it can be very low cost and simple if that's what you're after, or be very flexible. So we see customers who want to be able to integrate it into their access control system, or into their personal databases, or into other back-end systems, which is one thing that is possible to do with the programmable software. And then the other thing that is really important is, because it's a digital signage platform and not just a generic temperature taking platform, when we're through this, which we all hope will be soon, it's not lost investment. You can play digital signage when people aren't having their temperature taken today, and you can play digital signage tomorrow when hopefully these sorts of solutions are less necessary.
Right. And, one of the extra benefits is the fact that in this particular application, we are showing that it can be used for temperature scanning, but as things go on and as cities and states deploy how many people can be in a building or what are the latest protocols, the customers can use these as entranceway informational signage for their business, whether it's at an elevator bank or at a front office.
Yeah, so where it's deployed is really up to our end customers. You can deploy it at all the entrances. You can deploy it maybe at a reception desk. You can deploy it at the security guard. You can have multiple kiosks. It's all really pretty flexible from that perspective. And then the other advantage to it is, because it's built on a programmable system, as the requirements change, the system can adapt. So if we get to a point where you want to do people counting, we have the ability to add people counting into the software. If it gets to the point where it's a requirement that people wear masks, we can add that in to make sure that the videos we're taking of people are of them wearing masks. And so that's one of the strong benefits of a programmable system like this is as the requirements change, the platform can adapt.
Excellent. Can you speak to, is that a simple process? Do they just recommend, getting on a call with Mimo and Revel to discuss their specific needs? Is that an easy process to implement, or is that something they can do themselves?
I don't have an answer to that other than it depends. Okay. It depends on how complicated it is that they want to get to. It's digital signage software, so there are lots of changes that are intended that the end user or maybe some installer or integrator would be able to do and manage for them, just like any other digital signage software. If it's a complete change to the way it's working or completely or fully integrated into some back-end system, that can be more complicated, and it's probably better to get on a call with us or with Revel to talk about what the project needs really are.
But the beauty of this, and I know that our product manager, Rob Miner, has done a lot of research on this, you guys have already put so much into this software already that it is somewhat a plug-and-play solution already to manage the thermal scanning and monitoring, as well as the digital signage component of it. So most customers won't need to go deep into software changes and things like that. So I think this is a great solution already as is deployed.
It can be just as simple as taking it out of the box, setting it up, getting registered, and then changing the logo. That shows up into the corner for wherever it's installed. And it can be that simple, or it can be, more complicated depending on the amount of programming that's required.
Excellent. And this is a touchless solution, correct? This is a self-service touchless solution, so it isn't going to need a person, an employee standing there with it and describing to people how to use it. It will just be easy to use as customers walk up to it or employees.
Yes, it has a camera and voice prompts, so it knows, and the sensors that are in there's camera, there's voice prompts, there's a distance, and there's temperature. So it knows where you are, it knows how far away you are, so that it can capture an accurate temperature, and then from there it can be a simple red-green pass fail. It can send an email, it can send an alert, and it can basically control whatever it is. And so we've tried to make it as generic as possible out of the box to hit as many people as possible. But again, that programmability and flexibility is there for people who want to do more unique things.
Well, the thing I really like about it is it actually promotes the social distancing. So you're not having to walk up to an employee that's taking your temperature using a, scanner. So there's no longer that close interaction with another person.
Right.
And it makes it a much more comfortable way of self-monitoring and self-checking your temperature so that you know that you're not actually helping. Because nobody wants to spread these viruses. God forbid if anybody ever gets it, but nobody wants to be responsible for spreading it. And so I think people are becoming much more comfortable with the temperature scanning at different businesses and places of work.
Yeah, it's completely touchless. So you just walk up and it takes your temperature, and then from that point forward, exactly how that's handled is really up to our customers. We have people who then print out an access badge off a printer that we can attach to the kiosk. We have people who are connected to turnstiles or locked doors that can then unlock the door to allow the person to enter. Sometimes we've had requests for people to send an automated email to security to let people know that somebody has failed, so they can make sure that the next steps are taken with that person. So,
well, those are great insights, David. So where could listeners go besides contacting the Peerless-AV representative to set up a personal call with you or one of your employees? Where would they go to learn more information about Mimo monitors and Revel digital software?
So the Mimo Monitors website is a great reference. So Mimo Monitors, MIMO-MONITORS, all one word, .com is our web address. And right off the drop down from the products page is a temperature taking kiosk, and a bunch of information is there. And of course, through there, you can contact us, send us an email. Our phone number is listed, all those kinds of things as well. Revel digital software is, again, one word, Revel, REVEL digital.com.
All right, great. Thank you very much for joining me today, David. And look forward to getting on conversations with the customers that have more information.
Yeah, so are we. Thank you for having me.